Ms. Puckett, you claim the defendant, Stephen Macon, fathered your child while in a relationship with his current girlfriend, Ms. Glover.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you can prove he got you pregnant at the same time, and now you both have 2-year-old children named Stephen Macon Jr.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're asking the court for a DNA test to prove that Mr. Macon is the biological father of your 2-year-old son. And Mr. Macon, you claim to have concrete evidence that will prove to the court there's no possibility that you could be Miss Puckett's child's father.
Yes, Your Honor. She got 5 kids by 5 different baby daddies.
And you could be the 6th.
No, I ain't. No, I ain't. If we ain't have sex till like 3 months after, I wouldn't even have sex with her.
But you did have sex with her.
Me and Miss Glover, we wasn't together at the time.
Did you use protection?
Yes.
You did?
But it was.
Okay, but there was a malfunction.
Right. Before we even had sex, 3 weeks after I met her, she got my name
right upstairs
tattooed
to
on
the
her
attic.
neck.
You got his name tattooed on your neck 3 weeks after
We ain't
you
even
met her?
had sex yet.
No, I didn't.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Puckett, take me back to this relationship. You were having sex with Mr. Macon, you find out you're pregnant. Mm-hmm. Then what?
And then I call him and I tell him, that I was pregnant. I told him, he said, how? And I told him, because I took a pregnancy test.
Did you know he had a girlfriend that he was off and on with?
No.
So in your mind, what was this thing you all had?
Well, we was dating. He was treating me real good. He buy me stuff. He give me money when I needed it. He say if I need anything, my kids anything, he'd do for them. When I was pregnant, he was rubbing on my belly like he was happy and he was concerned about it.
Take me to the day you actually gave birth. Was Mr. Macon there?
He came in, and he was looking at the baby, playing with my son. And then so he said, so what you naming him? I said, I'm naming him after my brother. I said, because that's what my grandma want me to do. No, you're not naming him that. You're not naming him that. You name him Steve. So he said, call the nurse. So I buzzed the nurse. The nurse was there as a witness, because the nurse got to be there at all hospitals before they let you sign anything, an affidavit or anything like that. And that's what I did. I called the nurse and she said, are you sure this is your child? He said, yeah.
I stayed at the hospital literally, I don't even think it was 10 minutes. I looked at the baby. She asked me, what you want to name the baby? You gonna sign the birth certificate? I said, look here, I gotta go. I got some things I gotta do and I left.
That doesn't even sound right.
Seriously, that's exactly what happened.
So, when you looked at the baby, you felt like there's no way this is my child?
No.
Do you think that situation is what she wants for her life?
I'm not sure. I can't get.
Okay,
I'm not
so
sure.
that's where I just needed to ask you those series of questions, because sometimes when people give testimony, it's important for me to understand the intention behind their words. Mm-hmm. And now asking you that series of questions has alerted me that your intention is to completely discredit her at all costs. I get why there's animosity between the two of you.
It shouldn't be, though, Your Honor.
Look, but I get it. This is a difficult situation, and as I can see from hearing Mr. Macon's testimony, he does not help it any. Because you just right in the middle with your hands in your pocket like you didn't have anything to do with it when you got everything to do with it and everybody got your name. Miss Glover, how did you find out that Miss Puckett's child was named Stephen Macon Jr.?
Okay, let's talk about this. I go to the WIC office. We got a little local WIC office. Everybody know everybody. It's about 2 weeks. My son's probably about 2-3 weeks old. I go in there. He's there for his little checkup. They weigh him. They're about ready. They're entering his information in the computer. Next thing I know, the lady's like, oh, hold up, I made a mistake. I'm like, you made a mistake? What? What kind of mistake could you have made? She was like, I entered your baby under the wrong person. And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, because there's a baby born on July 4th of this year, and his name is Stephen Macon Jr. And she read it out, and she's like, and his dad's name is Stephen Macon Jr. too. And then she realized she said too much. And I'm like, what? I come outside, I'm like, do you know that this girl named her baby after you? And I mean, he looked devastated like me. I mean, literally, he dropped down like, you got to be kidding me.
When you told him this information, you truly thought he was genuinely surprised.
Exactly.
To hear that she had named her child Stephen Macon Jr.
He stood
So,
on it.
Mr. Macon, was this the first time you heard this, that this child was named Stephen Macon Jr.?
Yeah.
First time in your life?
Stop.
Yep.
You lying as the day is long. I can see
right.
that from here.
Okay.
He already knew because he was there. He signed it. And ain't no nurse gonna let you sign no birth certificate. I can't just sit there and sign his birth certificate.
In the case of Puckett versus Macon, when it comes to 2-year-old Stephen Macon Jr., it has been determined by this court, Mr. Macon Sr., you are his father.
You know what? You sent her that text message talking about some that's your baby, that y'all can go have sex on into the sunlight. Well, sunlight time, baby. I'll holler at you.
Miss Puckett, what do you feel, vindicated?
Just hurt that he wasn't there for him. That's just really hurt. And I just tried to tell
I
him.
apologize.
Yeah, your jerk factor is on 10, Mr. Macon. I'm not gonna lie. You have gotten on my last nerve today. Came in here with no evidence, could barely put a sentence together because you're smiling and laughing, because your nerves are shot, because you're lying. Mr. Jordan, you claim the defendant tricked you into signing her daughter's birth certificate and being a daddy. But 2 years later, you were told that another man is her biological father. You opened your case because you want DNA proof you are not the father so you can get your name removed from the birth certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Heim, you admit to being unfaithful to Mr. Jordan, but say he is Caitlin's father. You say Mr. Jordan abandoned you and your daughter, and you intend to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Jordan, you say Ms. Heim tricked you?
Yes.
Explain.
She tricked me into thinking that I was the father. She tricked me into thinking that Caitlin was my first daughter. She tricked me into thinking that the other guy had done got a paternity test on Caitlin, because she told me, oh, he already got one, and you know what I'm saying? That's why I know it's just you. She tricked me into thinking that family was something sacred.
You believe she was intentionally deceitful?
Yes.
And what was her motive?
You know what? I think her only motive was that she was able to get away with it, honestly. Because at the end of the day, I think that she had the advantage as far as to having a dad that could take care and provide for Caitlin. Because I was there since day one. You know what I'm saying? So
you thought her motive really was that you were a provider, you were there for the child, and you were going to do right by the child.
Right.
But you believe she was being deceitful.
Yeah.
Were you being deceitful, Ms. Heim?
No, ma'am. He's a great father, and I only had sex with one man when we were together, and I had sex with him one time, but we've been messing around for 7 years, and I never became pregnant. I met Chris, and all of a sudden I came pregnant. So I know Chris is the father.
So wait, you're saying that you were only having sex with one other man other than Mr. Jordan?
Just one time in April, and then I found out I was pregnant in June.
Okay, so was that potentially the window of conception?
Yes, Your Honor, but I know that Chris is the father.
But how if you had sex with the other guy?
I just know that he's the father.
I was there for the weird pregnancy cravings. I was there to rub the feet. I was there to get up out my sleep at night to go get pickles and ice cream. That's what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I never grew up with my parents. You know what I'm saying? So I'm real big on being a parent to my child. That, like, when this little girl was born, like, that would change my life. Like, that would did it for me. That's what made me start going in a positive direction. You know what I'm saying?
But this is what I don't understand. It was all going well.
It was, you know what I'm saying?
And so how does it go wrong?
This is where it goes wrong. Her and the family member gets into like an altercation or whatnot, like an argument. It wasn't even an altercation, it was an argument. And it was like they started like throwing dirt on each other, you know what I mean? So she said something about this family member's in front of this family member's boyfriend or whatever. So the family member turned around and was like, well, why you ain't told Chris that he's not Caitlin's dad?
What?
So I'm like, at that moment, it was just like, I was more in shock than it, because at the end of the day, it's just like, it's very funny, but you know, you can say whatever. But as she was saying it, she pulls out the phone. And she started showing me, I could pull it up. I ain't gotta lie. It's what the family member tells me.
My family
and I'm like, that
messy,
blew my mind.
they're messy.
What does she pull up?
She's jealous because
She
Chris was
pulls
a good
up
person.
pictures of the other guy and my daughter, you know what I'm saying, like having moments together or pictures of.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Caitlin's 2 years old. You think you have a daughter and the perfect girl. You got a good life.
Yeah. I actually have evidence.
Oh, let me see that. So you think you having a good life, and then they get into an argument when Caitlin's 2, a family member of Miss Heim, and they start going off on one another.
And then like everything just comes right out right then. And I'm like,
And
it
so
hit me.
the
it hit
family
like an
member shows you
18-wheeler.
pictures,
Yeah,
and this evidence you submitted is one of the pictures.
Yeah, and as you can see right here, Yana, like I don't like to say people look alike, but I'm like, yo, it's a lot of resemblance here.
I need to know what's going on. She's old enough to know. Who does she think her father is, Mr. Jordan or Santavius?
Chris.
Have you ever told Mr. Santavius Knight, this gentleman here, that he is her biological father?
All I said was that I was pregnant when I first found out I was pregnant. I did not say it was his child.
So are you saying he assumed he was the father?
No, because me and him was like we could talk about anything. So when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, look, I'm pregnant. He said, oh, okay. So I feel like he assumed that it was his, but it's not his, it's Chris' baby.
Yana, I object, I'm sorry.
You know what? Hold on. I'm about to object too, and I'm up here on this bench. I am not getting any truth out of you, Miss Heim. I am ready to hear from Mr. Santavius Knight myself. Jerome, please escort him into the courtroom. We are here discussing the paternity of Caitlin.
Yes, ma'am.
And it has been brought to this court's attention that there are pictures of you with Caitlin where you put in a caption that this is me and my baby Kate, where you are referring to this little girl as your daughter.
Yes.
Do you believe Caitlin is your daughter?
Yes, that's my baby. She told me when she got pregnant, she like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what you telling me for? She like, well, it's not Chris, because me and Chris been together a year and a half, and we ain't got pregnant. Soon you touch me, I get pregnant.
No, he's lying. When I came back in town in April, I had sex, and then I found out I was pregnant in June, so how is that possible? I just called him and let him know that I was pregnant.
What did you say she said to you again?
She told me that it was my baby. She said, I'm pregnant. I said, what you telling me for? She said, cause it's yours. Telling me I love you when you get home. I let somebody else sign a birth certificate. I'm gonna fix it when you get home. Did it in the third. I'm like, okay, say no more.
She let somebody sign the birth certificate, but she's gonna fix it when you get home.
Yeah.
No.
Miss High, what kind of game you running?
I ain't running no game.
Good game. Fact. He ain't lying.
So how often do you see Caitlin?
I see Caitlin when he ain't got her, or the people who at the school ain't got her. So she gonna sit here and just keep the post line instead of being real, just tell the truth. You know what I mean? It's still gonna come out anywhere it go. If it come out anyway, they gonna tell you. The baby mine.
Like she crying.
You gonna sit here, you gonna have to apologize to this man, gonna be crying. Still sitting here playing. Go on, tell the truth, keep it real.
In the case of Jordan versus Heim, pertaining to whether Mr. Jordan or Mr. Knight is the father of the child, Caitlin Jordan. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you are Caitlin's biological father. Mr. Knight, I know you really thought Caitlin was your biological child. How are you feeling in this moment?
At the end of the day, in life, you can't, when it come out, the truth come out. So, I ain't really too mad about it, but, if I'm still alive, that's my partner right there, that's my friend.
Mr. Webb, you have been waiting 2 years for this day. You claim the defendant, Mrs. Forrest, left you for dead only to find out once you got out of a coma that she was pregnant and that the baby could be yours or her husband's.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrest, you and your husband are here today desperate to put an end to this drama. You say you have no doubt your daughter's biological father is indeed your husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Webb, what are your intentions today if the DNA determines that you are the biological father?
My intentions are to fight for full custody rights if she is my daughter.
Well, that's my daughter, and you ain't getting her.
Ms. Forrest, how did you get yourself in this triangle?
My husband got in some trouble, and I ended up meeting Mr. Webb through one of my friends. We hit it off, and then I ended up leaving Mr. Forrest for Mr. Webb.
So you began a sexual relationship?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and were you using protection at the time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Webb, what is your take on this?
It didn't happen like that at first. Yes, we was in love, but towards the end, I was on life support.
No, that's not how it happened.
As soon as I got out the hospital, I had got a phone call saying that she was pregnant. I heard it from my aunt first, but on my way to Illinois with my dad, she had called me and told me that it was a possibility that Elena was my child.
She told you a possibility?
Yes, ma'am.
So that means she was admitting that she also had slept with other people?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you think the other person was just her husband?
At the time, no, Your Honor.
You thought there were other possible?
Yes, Your Honor.
No.
And why would you think that? Why would you have reason to think that?
Because she was working at the time, and some of her check would be coming up missing every time she would get paid.
No.
And so what did you suspect? Because something was missing out of her check?
She would get off at 10 o'clock. It would take at least 15 minutes to get home. But she would come in at 11 to 11:30.
It took about 45 minutes to get from where I was working.
So it was missing time and missing money. So when you realized you were pregnant, when exactly did you realize you were pregnant?
The middle of September.
That is
All
right,
right.
Your Honor.
Because I didn't know at the time I was pregnant.
So, Mr. Webb, how did you find out she was pregnant?
She had called me the day that I got out of the hospital. I was on my way to Illinois with my dad. I got a phone call. We had a discussion. She said that I may be the father, but then again, I may not be because she was back with Mr. Forrest.
I was there with her at the doctor's office, so it was the middle of September when she found out.
It was in August whenever she found out that she was pregnant.
No, it was not.
So there's
not
a
true.
month discrepancy. You say September, you say August.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you got the news, did you immediately think you're the father?
Well, she had told me ahead of time that I may not be the father, but there was a chance that I was the father.
So now, what makes you stand in court today, Ms. Forrest, and say that your husband is definitely the father?
I have counted back the times from when she was born, 9 months back, and it takes it to the week that I was only sleeping with him. Me and Mr. Webb are already over with.
All right, let me grab my calendar, see this.
My daughter was born on May 9th of 2013.
Okay.
And then you take it back 9 months later, that takes it to the week of August 26th through August 31st.
August 26th through August 31st. You were sleeping with your...
Just my husband.
The thing about it, Your Honor, is the day that before I went on to life support, we did have sex.
Well, that was the question I was about to ask. What day did you go into the
I
hospital?
went into the hospital on August 26, 2012.
So you saying August 25th, you all were intimate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Ms.
Yes,
Forrest?
Your Honor.
Without protection?
Yes,
Yes,
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor.
Okay. So that's intimate with Mr. Webb. Now you here to tell me you know for sure that your child is fathered by Mr. Forrest and you've got this close proximity?
She looks, yes, Your Honor, she looks just like my husband. She takes after him.
But you do realize this difference in time this is all a part of the same window of conception. You do understand that, right, Ms. Forrest?
Yes, Your Honor. He called me about 2 weekends ago. I was on my way to Arkansas, and he told me that if I don't let him see her, he's gonna take her to court, or take me to court, and he's gonna take her away from me. There's no way that he is getting my daughter. I have cared for her for 2 years. He hasn't. He's wanted to see her, but he hasn't wanted to do nothing
under. This DNA test proves that I am Elena's father. I will fight for my full custody rights.
This is my child, and I will fight you for custody.
There's no way he is getting my daughter.
No, this is our child, not yours, and I will fight you for full custody.
There's no way that he's getting full custody of my child.
I will fight.
No.
So, Mr. Forrest, you're convinced you're
Well, whether
Elena's
I am or he is.
Oh, wait. Are you? No. I'm saying, are you convinced you're her biological father?
There's a possibility, yes. But I don't know for 100%.
You're raising her as
my own.
So she thinks you're her daddy.
She calls him daddy.
You daddy.
She calls me daddy.
She doesn't have a choice, Your Honor, because Miss Forrest would not let me meet my daughter.
He doesn't want to meet under my terms.
It has been determined by this court that her biological father is Mr. Webb. Be clear, you did not just cheat him. You cheated her. Cheated her. You knew it could be a possibility.
And I'm afraid I'm gonna lose my husband and my family over this.
Well, this is my point. You're thinking about yourself.
That's all he thought about when we were together?
You're thinking about yourself.
He won't see my daughter.
I think you need to step outside of yourself and your own selfishness. And allow him to see his daughter in my chambers for the first time. So that maybe for the first time, her mother can stop thinking about herself. Can we do that? Your baby's not leaving this court.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.